So it looks like the 4070 is not a budget-friendly card. Why is that? Let's go over it. So they've just been released this year, or only last week, in Australia, coming in at about 999 Australian dollars. Has a 3080-like performance with 12 gig of VRAM. When the RTX 3080 was originally announced over 2 years ago, it was meant to launch in Australia for 1140 Australian dollars with 10 gig of VRAM. So looking at that, 2 years of progress to gain 2 gig of VRAM and a bit more power efficiency for the same virtual price. I do see that as a bit of an insult and a bit of spit in the face, where I would have at least expected it to be pushed up to 16 gigabytes. But why would Nvidia do that when they're going to cannibalize the higher tiered graphics cards? If you want more VRAM, pay more. If you want to, the biggest thing I see that Nvidia will be doing right now is that they don't want to push large amounts of VRAM onto their graphics cards, their high-end gaming graphics cards, because then that's going to cannibalize their creative graphics cards and cannibalize the AI modeling, that kind of technology side of things, where people may be potentially paying double, triple the price for something with 20 gig, 16, 20 or 24 gig of VRAM. So why make it so the everyday programmer, modeler, person tinkering with AI, why give them a decent card for the money when they can just upsell them to the next? That's one thing I'm finding very disappointing with the 4070, where it's got 12 gig of VRAM on a 192-bit bus. Then we had 2 years ago, we had the 3060 on the same bus, same amount of VRAM. Granted, there was less performance there, but both of them running on a 192-bit bus with 12 gig of VRAM. Granted, the 4070 is running on DDR or GDDR6X, where the 3060 was running on DDR6. I just can't. Doesn't really make much sense for people to go out and buy this new graphics card if they've been living on a 3060 now for 2 years, 2.5 years, 3080, sorry, not 3060. Living on a 3060 now, bought it at recommended retail price day one when they launched. There is absolutely no point for them to upgrade to a 4070. Yes, there may be DLSS, frame generation. That stuff I'm not a fan of. I see that as artificially inflating the performance of the card through upscaling, which to me seems to be a bit of a cheat. Granted, I'm not a fan of it. I'd rather native frame rates be high, especially when I'm going to be paying over $1,000 Australian for a new card. I'm expecting good performance or great performance. Granted, I'm of the era when the 4048 RX 4850 came out, the Radeon graphics card with 512 megabytes of VRAM, and that was about a $300 card which performed brilliantly at the time. Granted, those times are now dead, and it seems to be that the graphics manufacturers are more than happy to keep pushing out more and more expensive, more premium devices. For example, in other technology fields, mobile phones. You used to get the Samsung Galaxy Ultra. Now they seem to push out Ultra Plus, and they get the top of the tier, and then you get the top, and then the top. It's not just, here's our top of the line, take it or leave it. Anyway, there's my phone. The 4070 looks to be a very big disappointment. If it dropped down to about $800, $700, I could see it being usable and at a very nice, friendly price. But in today's day and age, I do believe that Hardware Unboxed was right with 12 gig of VRAM is the minimum. When you're paying the maximum price, I want to be getting maximum VRAM. Personally, I wouldn't be buying a graphics card without 16 gig of VRAM on there. Anything lower than that, especially spending that money. If you were spending $500, sure, pick up 12, pick up 10. But spending $1,000 Australian, I cannot possibly justify buying a 12 gig of VRAM graphics card in this day and age. 16 gig minimum. Bye.